to the power of one. Today, I am going to be speaking with a mother who has seven children, and unfortunately, a nightmare in 2016, and then another horrible nightmare in 2023. Ms. Bumpus lost two of her sons to gun violence. We are going to honor them today, and we're going to keep their legacy alive forevermore. Welcome to the show, Ms. Bumpus.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Ms. Bumpus, tell me about that day in 2016. Walk us through your morning until you received that horrible news.
Um, so as you said, I have seven children because I don't talk about the two in the past. Every morning I text them good morning. Every night I text them good night. That night I text Isaiah good night about 9:10. Um, to be exact, I text Isaiah at 9:15. Um, Isaiah texts me back the next day. Good morning, mom. Have a good day. The day was it was like a normal day. I just had a baby October the 2nd. I just had Miracle. This is October 28th. Um, that night, my daughter will always call me late, because we just had a new baby, so she want to keep checking on the baby. I'm like, it's 12 o'clock. I'm not answering the phone. I didn't answer it at 12 o'clock. At 12:01, the phone rung different. It was a different ring, if that makes sense. And I answered it. And she was like, oh Lord. Mom, they shot Ike. So I instantly said, who Ike? Like, who is Ike? She like, Mom, they shot Ike. She's crying, she's screaming on the phone. So I hung the phone up. I'm like, they shot Ike. That's me. That's my baby. That's Ike. They shot Ike. So I'm trying to grab my 3-week-old. I had an 8-year-old. John and Jaheem were 14 and 15 at the time. So I'm trying to grab them to get to Quakertown, where they said Isaiah was in the hospital. I get to the hospital. My oldest son is there, and he's crying. As I'm driving, Quakertown was an hour and 15 minutes from where I was. It took me 23 minutes to get there.
Mm.
Literally 23 minutes. I don't know how, but I sent Isaiah to the county to not be killed in the city because I know the city don't love our kids. And then they killed him. And when I got there, my son fell to his knees and he was like, Mom, Ike gone. I was gone. I was gone.
Mm. Now, were you able to see your son in the hospital?
I did get to see him.
Mm.
Um, I got to see him about after 15 minutes. Um, I only could see him through the glass. They wouldn't let me touch him or anything.
Was
I'm
he
sorry.
shot?
Isaiah was shot in his heart. They shot part of my baby's heart off. Um,
Mm.
Four Caucasian kids playing planned to rob and murder somebody for 30 days and try unsuccessfully 3 times that day. And unfortunately, my son will end up being their victim.
Mm. And what day was that?
October 29th, 2016.
Mm. And I'm sure a piece of your heart was missing that day when your son was shot and killed. And unfortunately, you had the same experience again with one of your children.
Yes. Um,
Ex- Tell us what happened that day.
um, Again, after we lost Ike, the last ones that was here, we have this rule. My oldest son owns a trucking company. My daughter, she's in school now, but she's a special needs teacher. Jaheem was a car salesman, and John, uh, works in cars as well. They got to be in the house by 9 o'clock, even though they was 20, 21, 28, and 30. They be in the house. So I text Jaheim. I heard shooting in the neighborhood I lived in. And I text Jaheim. I said, where you at Sunday outside shooting? He like, yeah, mom, I'm in the house. This is at 9:15 again. I said, all right, good night. Love you. 12:15, my son John calls. He like, mommy, they shot Jaheim. So I'm like, God playing a trick on me because it ain't no way this just happened twice. Because Jaheim was in the bed. He was in the bed, right? He wasn't out in the street. He wasn't in an argument. He was in the bed. And his friend came and got him and took him to a fight that wasn't his and
Mm.
left him there. He left my baby there. I have good kids, right? And for this to have happened to me twice, I don't understand, man. Like,
Ms.
after
Bumpus,
I say,
how do you have the strength to get up every day? Was the murder of your first son, was that shooter or shooters, were they apprehended?
yes, about 5 hours afterwards, they were.
Okay.
Percy Township did an amazing job at catching those boys. They did.
And all of them, and are they serving a lot of time for
No,
what they did to your
no,
son?
they're not. They ain't serve enough time. One of them got off. Um, all three end up getting off. The actual shooter, he only got 7 years.
Mm.
So he was due to come home last year. Of course, I went and I fought tooth and nail, keep him in there. Um, so we're every year he comes up for parole at this point.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, the shooting of your second baby that happened in Philadelphia.
Yes, on Park Avenue in Lehigh.
Okay. All right. Was that shooter apprehended?
No, ma'am, he's still in the streets now, and they're telling me I can't say too much um about it because it's an ongoing investigation. What I can say is they know more than they're leading on. They know the players, they know a lot, and yet nobody has been arrested.
When you
I can
say
say
they,
that.
are you speaking about the homicide detective assigned to
Yes,
your case? Okay.
yes.
And are you
Uh,
in constant contact with that detective?
no, ma'am. He's not really to me, and this is just my opinion. I don't feel like my son is as important to him as he needs to be. I feel like my opinion, I feel like it's just another black boy murdered, black man murdered on Philadelphia streets. And, you know, we can keep acting like we're doing something until mom be quiet. But like with Isaiah, I said everybody directly and indirectly with Isaiah murder will be held accountable, and they did. Fortunately, they did because I fought tooth and nail, and I'm hoping that Philadelphia detectives do the same because right now the detective does not respond to me in a timely manner at all, at all.
And keep making noise, mom, because that's how things get done. So speak to how your other children are functioning, losing two siblings to gun violence. Do they fully understand the reason why their siblings are not here?
Um, the older three, I kind of I kind of feel like they understand better because they're 21, um, 28 and 30. Um, the 15-year-old and the 7-year-old do not. They
Mm.
do not. I feel like the 15-year-old understands The ironic thing was he was 8 years old when they killed Isaiah, and Miracle is 7 years old when they killed Jaheim. So she doesn't quite understand. Um, she says to me, Mommy, every year I celebrate my birthday. 3 weeks after my birthday, we have to have a memorial for Isaiah. So this year, 3 weeks before my birthday, we have to have a memorial for Jaheim. I'm not holding up. I'm not keeping it together. As a mom, I have to fight for justice for Jaheim because nobody's gonna fight for Jaheim. Jaheim is however many murders we had last year, his name was on one of them. He's not Jaheim Price, my son. He's not, he's a statistic. And I can't allow that to happen. I'm gonna fight if I gotta get together and get everybody with me, which I plan on doing in March, and we're gonna go to 400 Broad Street and we're gonna get some answers. We coming in shirts and we coming in peace. I'm gonna make some noise. Tell me what happened to my son. Somebody needs to be arrested for the murder of my son. My son was a good kid. And everybody say their kids are good kids. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking that away from anybody. But when your child is out there robbing and stealing and in the street and you don't know where they at days on end, you kind of wait for that call, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mine was in his bed. He sold cars during the day. He was in his bed.
Miss Bumpus, correct me if I'm wrong, but both of your sons died at the same time of day?
I don't know what that means. Isaiah was shot at 12:15. Jaheim was shot at 12:15.
Mm.
6 years, 6 years, 1 month, and 7 days to Isaiah's 7 year anniversary at the
Mm.
same time.
Mm. Are you in therapy?
No,
Tell me
no.
why.
Because I feel like somebody that hasn't been through what I've been through can't tell me how I'm supposed to feel, how I'm supposed to act, when it's okay to grieve, when it's okay to be okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, no.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%. But I will tell you this, Miss Bumpus, there is some great peer-to-peer support groups that are available for parents like you, for mothers like you. Voices by Choices is one of them. A young lady by the name of Tahara Fortune. And unfortunately, I met her when her 18-year-old son was killed. And she started Voices by Choices. And they meet every Wednesday. And these are mothers just like you. And they love on one another. They listen, they call each other, might be 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. But I definitely want to put you in contact with them
Mm-hmm.
because that's what you need. And I agree with you 100%. Sometimes you don't want to speak to a therapist that don't look like us and probably
Yes,
don't come from the same neighborhoods that we
yes,
come from, because let's be real and let's have a real conversation. How you
yes.
going to tell me something and you have not experienced what I've experienced?
Yeah,
That's real.
yeah.
That's real. But I do want to put you in contact with, again, some mothers who have been where you're living, because
Mm-hmm.
on those days where you can't make it through, you
Mm-hmm.
have your sister carry you through. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about some real, genuine sisters. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely going to put you in contact with them.
Thank you. Thank you.
What message do you have for, I'm going to say, for all of the shooters in the city of Philadelphia, all of the shooters throughout the Commonwealth of PA, all of the shooters throughout the world? What message do you have for them? Because I don't think they fully understand that when you take a life, you're not just affecting one life, you're affecting someone's mother, their father, their siblings, their sisters, their brothers. They're affecting so much. What message do you have for the shooter?
I have a 7-year-old daughter that hates, she has anger in her at 7 because she don't understand why people keep shooting her brothers. If to the shooters out there, you don't just touch one life, you touch a bunch of lives. You touch a mom like me who can't sleep, who can't eat, who sometimes don't even want to get out of bed because I had to put 2 sons in the ground. I watched these babies come into this world and held them in my hand and watched them put my babies in the ground. You don't know no pain like that. When you sitting in jail, talking on your phone and FaceTiming, understand that we don't get to do that. On holidays, I have to go to the cemetery. On birthdays, I have to go to the cemetery. Before Thanksgiving, I gotta go to the cemetery. Stop. Just stop. What is it that you think you are accomplishing? You understand? We are our worst enemies. We are killing each other for what? Half of y'all killing each other for a block your mom don't even own. Half of y'all killing, y'all have beef with each other that ain't even y'all beef. Stop. Just stop. From one mom to y'all sons out there, stop. Please stop.
I've often wondered to myself why we aren't in an uproar when we say Black Lives Matter,
Yeah,
but we want to get upset
yeah,
when someone of another race
yeah,
kills an African American person. It's wrong. Let's be clear about that. But Miss Bumpus, what I can't understand is why aren't we in an uproar every time we see the news with Black on Black crime? We are killing each other. It's our young African American men that are
yeah,
dying at an alarming rate. Young African American women. How many kids have been shot? African American. So I
yeah,
can't understand why we're not protesting. I can't understand why we're not in the street. You know what I mean? Why we're not shutting cities down. I'm not talking about rioting. It's not what I'm
yeah,
talking about. I'm not talking about vandalizing our city.
yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. But please tell me why we are not upset that we are killing each other off. That it boggles my mind and I can't understand it.
Well, to piggyback off that, there were 4 Caucasian boys that shot Isaiah. And when I tell you I had almost 200 people up in the county behind my back fighting for justice, we had signs, we fighting and fighting. But when it comes to Jaheem, nobody ain't saying a word. Nobody opened their mouth. I gave a rally. We had 45 people show up.
Hmm.
I'm
We
giving
have to do
another one
better.
in March. March 21st, I'm giving another one. I want to see how many Black mothers bring your
Mm-hmm.
Black sons out there and daughters and rally for justice for Jaheem because it starts at home.
That's
Like I
right.
said, I have 7 and I text all 7. Where y'all at? What y'all doing? Y'all need to be in the house after 5 o'clock because y'all business done stop. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
mothers out here don't care. Y'all just letting these kids run rapid. I have a 15-year-old. I check his phone once a week. I check his room once a week. I know when his comings and his goings. I track his phone. I did it with my 20-year-old that they killed. I do it with my 21-year-old, my 28-year-old, and my 30-year-old. I have track of these kids because they my kids. And at the end of
Mhm.
the day, when I gotta put them in the ground, I gotta put them in the ground. It's just
Mhm.
me standing there. I gotta fight for my kids. And I'm tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Ms. Bumpus, I thank you so much for sharing your story with me
Thank
today. I know it was extremely hard, but for all of you listening and watching, it is time to make a difference in the city of Philadelphia. Please join Ms. Bumpus when she walks and she protests to keep the legacy of her sons alive. Thank you so much for joining me today, Ms. Bumpus.
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It is so heartbreaking to hear a mother's cry, to hear a father's cry, because they have to bury their child, which should not be. The gun violence in the city of Philadelphia, it must stop. Enough is enough. So I'm going to ask you, do you know where your children are? And if your children are doing something they are not supposed to be doing, you need to fix that. Peace and love.